All right, before we get into the breakdown for today, just the usual heads up, this is all for educational purposes. It is absolutely not financial advice.
All right, let's get right into it. This is your daily health report for PLAZM, day 132. And wow, the headline today tells a pretty wild story. We're talking a massive vault search, a brand new burn milestone, and a really key protocol upgrade. So let's break down what looks like a super quiet day on the surface, but it's anything but.
And here it is. This is the main paradox of the last 24 hours. I mean, if you just glanced at the price, down less than 1%, you'd probably just yawn and think, nothing to see here. But you would be completely, totally wrong. The real story today, the real action, is happening under the hood with the protocol's fundamentals. And they just saw an absolutely explosive surge forward.
And look, this proves the point right away. Just check out these numbers from the last 48 hours. The vault, up over 51 ETH. 51! Burns just crossed that 19% threshold. Staking is up by 60,000 tokens. And on top of all that, the protocol team raised the B&Build allocation. That's the system that automatically buys PLAZ to beef up the price floor. So yeah, the price barely budged, but the protocol's health? It just took a giant leap forward. Okay, so let's get to the main event. The lead story of the day, no question about it, is the absolutely massive explosion we saw in the protocol's vault.
And there it is, 190.31 ETH. You gotta let that sink in. Just 2 days ago, this number was sitting at 139 ETH. This is a colossal move for the protocol's core treasury. This really just puts it in a perspective, doesn't it? A 51.1 ETH jump in just 48 hours. That's a nearly 37% increase in the vault's ETH balance, and it's easily the largest single move we have seen in a long time. And get this wasn't from buys. This was all about the underlying assets in the DEX5 vaults recovering their ratio against ETH, and the protocol just perfectly capturing all that value. Incredible.
So what does that mean in dollar terms? Well, it brings the vault to just shy of the $400,000 mark. And here's why that's so crucial. More ETH in the vault means more firepower to generate yield through bonds. And all that extra yield, it translates directly into a much stronger defense mechanism for the entire protocol. It's a huge deal.
Okay, now let's talk about how this vault explosion connects to another really powerful story that's unfolding. I'm talking about the great supply shock. The amount of PLAZM that's actually available to be sold is shrinking. And it's shrinking fast, coming from two different directions. First up, the burn. We have now officially blown past the 19% milestone. That's over 1.3 million PLAZM tokens, just permanently deleted from existence. Think about that. Nearly 1 out of every 5 tokens ever created is now gone, forever.
And the pace here is just incredible. I mean, look at this. It was only 11 days ago that we were celebrating crossing the 1 million burn mark. And in that short time, another 300,000 tokens have been torched. The speed of this supply removal is absolutely a key fundamental you have to be watching.
All right, so the second part of the supply shock story, it's staking. Another 60,000 tokens were locked up in just the last 2 days. That brings the total to 2.63 million. This number, it just relentlessly ticks up day after day. It's such a powerful sign of holder conviction, and it's actively pulling tokens right off the open market.
So what's the end result of all this? What's the big payoff? Well, you're looking at it right here. A staggering 76% of the total supply is now protected, meaning it's staked, burned, or locked in the liquidity pool. That leaves the truly liquid, easily sellable supply down to just 24%. And to put that into perspective for you, that number was 50% back on day 84. The available supply has literally been cut in half. That is a classic supply shock playing out right before our eyes.
All right, moving on, we've got some official protocol news. And this is important because this isn't just a market metric changing on its own. Nope, this was a deliberate, strategic decision made to strengthen the entire system.
So here it is. The protocol team has officially cranked up the buy and build USDC allocation, taking it from 10% up to 15%. This is a really significant upgrade to one of the protocol's most important defense mechanisms.
So why should you care about this? Well, the B&Build system, it takes the yield from trading fees to go out and buy PLAZM right off the open market. Then it pairs it with USDC and adds it to the liquidity pool, making it deeper. By raising this allocation, it means more of the protocol's daily earnings are now dedicated to systematically making that price floor stronger. It's a direct investment into the protocol's stability.
Okay, let's pivot a little bit. We've talked about the protocol's health today, but now let's look at the engine that powers it all and what's coming up on the horizon.
And hey, another milestone just got crossed. The Yield engine has now officially paid out over $75,000 in real claimed profits to participants. And get this, over $2,000 of that was generated in just the last 48 hours. This right here, this is the engine that powers everything else we've been talking about. Now, let's look ahead. This is where it gets really interesting. Today's release was pretty moderate, sure, but what's coming up is a dramatic, and I mean dramatic, drop-off in potential sell pressure. You can see it right here in the forecast. Emissions start getting lighter tomorrow, and then by day 135, we enter what we're calling a period of ultra-light release days.
And just to put a fine point on it, just look at day 139, a total release of just over 8,000 plasm for the entire day. That is one of the single lightest release days in the protocol's entire history. So the big takeaway here is that we are heading straight into a period of way, way lower inflation.
Okay, so let's wrap this all up. What's the final verdict on day 132?
Honestly, the scorecard says it all. Every single core fundamental metric moved powerfully in the right direction. We had that massive vault surge, new milestones for both burns and yield, a strategic upgrade to B&Build, even more compression of the liquid supply, and a big drop in sell pressure right around the corner. It is all green, right across the board.
And that's really the big takeaway, isn't it? The price action was, basically nothing. But underneath the surface, the protocol's foundation just became immensely stronger. Truly, mountains were moved today, even if the price chart didn't notice.
And of course, we'll close out with a full disclosure. Just remember, this analysis is for educational purposes only. It's not financial advice. Digital assets can be super volatile, so please never invest more than you're willing to lose, and always, always do your own research. So let's recap. The price moved less than 1%, but the vault surged 51 ETH. Burns crossed 19%. Yield crossed 75,000. B&Build was raised to 15%. And those ultralight days, they begin in just 3 days. Day 132, quiet on the surface, but absolutely explosive underneath. That's PLAZM.